You're watching Magazine Media, and let's take a quick look now at some communications news in brief. And in a true celebration of young emerging talent, especially in the digital field, the 11th Annual Bookmark Awards honouring 142 winners across 76 categories. Creativity with a social conscience was a strong theme, with the agency Mortimer Harvey and the Road Accident Fund awarded the Pixel for Purpose Award for its #AlwaysRemember campaign. Paulie van Wyk from the Daily Maverick won the award for Best Online Journalist. And who can forget this death-defying 90s ad for Continental Tires? Well, the brand has released a daring new advertising campaign, this time enlisting the help of the agency M&C Saatchi Abel and world-renowned free climber Alain Robert, also known as the Human Spider. Shot on location in downtown Johannesburg, here is how it all came about.
So great to have Alain Robert here. He's using his extraordinary climbing ability to demonstrate Continental credentials. I think that this is really going to stand out in the marketplace and get the attention that we deserve.
So we're on set, and it's a massive privilege to be on the set of this ad that has been conceived over the last couple of months to a really strong concept to put Continental back on the map as a premium tyre brand in a space, something different, we believe. But the concept fits very cleverly with what we're trying to do. And to be on the set and understand the whole process behind filming an ad of this stature is quite something. There's a lot of moving parts, and of course we can't wait to see how the process develops to the end. We're going to see the ad that was a storyboard back then, and we've come a long way since. Alain has been amazing. He's traveled around the globe. He's climbing like a 15-year-old with energy and vigor and enthusiasm. And the crew have been fantastic to work with, and can't wait to see the end product.
I think 2019 takes us into somewhere a little bit of a different space. We start focusing again on the brand itself, Continental. We have been focusing more on our retail brand over the last couple of years, and I think once again we start to focus on the tyre brand, Continental. And I think using Alain in this shoot is really great. Showcases pretty much the safety, the grip, things that Alain needs to keep him safe and secure is the same thing that the tires do for you as the consumer, or us as the consumer.
Been climbing cliffs and mountains for over 20 years. Usually, you know, when I got to the top, I feel a bit like born again.
Now, following a robust national study, the youth agency Student Village, releasing the results of its latest student spend report, always makes for fascinating reading. Results in the past uncovered spending sprees and a huge desire to build the so-called brand me, but no more, says Ronen Aires, as Gen Z or Gen Z enters the fray with a greater sense, he says, of self-created liberation, entrepreneurship and a need to save. It's always good to talk to you, Ronen. Define Generation Z for me, first of all. What is it? Who are they?
So we look at Gen Z, or we look at centennials, and it's generally students that are born, or people that have been born from 1997 onwards, and we generally look at 2000 onwards.
And you say they switched on conscious consumers as opposed to their predecessors who were not.
Yeah, so like with our phones, like with technology, I think the best way to view this generation is look at it like an upgrade. So when you upgrade your software,
yeah.
So this has been an upgrade that it's probably about 2 years in the making, and I'd love to talk about the features of this upgrade, because there are a lot of bugs that have been fixed, and maybe some that have created even more bugs. So when we look at this generation, they are much more switched on, and they seem a lot more mature than their millennial predecessors. So you're looking at them, they're coming in and they're a lot more sussed about the world. They are not just into looking good. They've been born into a world that's much harder and filled with a lot more issues. Their main source of income, which is their parents, struggling a lot more. So when it's talking about self-liberation, they're taking matters into their own hands, saying, I actually need to provide more. I'm the CEO of my dreams, and I need to make a plan.
Influenced by what? Simply because of the difficult times that they're in? Does technology, in other words, that ubiquitous cell phone that you refer to, does that play a role in it? They seem to be a lot more serious than the millennial set.
Yeah, so we spoke about millennials as being dialed in, so they were born into technology. The difference in this upgrade is this is a cohort that was born into a smart technology world, and they're a bespoke generation. They're choosing the kind of people they follow, and a lot of them are influencers. So not only do they follow influencers, but they believe they're influencers themselves. And so while it's not all about me, they're thinking me first, then we. I want to take care of my own needs first, then I want to think about society, I want to think about my community, my family, etc.
So how does that manifest in their behavior then? They gravitate more to the online environment. How would they be doing that?
We've seen the most fascinating development. We've seen that over the years, it was about between 30 and 35% purchases online. So what students used to do is they used to browse online and buy in store. This year we're seeing 65% of purchases are online, which is a massive, massive shift. We're seeing huge things where the whole Take-A-Lot group, Take-A-Lot, Superblis, etc., are by and far in the lead. And what had to give, the biggest kind of bastion of old retail, Edgar's, has gone down the tubes in their eyes. So you're seeing a massive shift there. You're seeing a huge shift in stuff like Uber Eats or Uber and Taxify and all of those kind of apps for conscious. So I'm going to make choices that make sense to me, not just in price, but do I need it and does it serve my future?
So leading on from that, you also make the point, you've just referred to that savvy spenders, they're spending less, but spending more cleverly, and only, and this is the interesting bit, buying what suits their lifestyle. How has their lifestyle changed then, given the advent of this super technology and also the difficulties that they're experiencing at home?
So on the one side, when we spoke about my source of income, my main source of income, which is 80% coming from my parents, is being more challenged, but my dreams are still up there. So if I'm the CEO of my dreams, I need to make a plan. Part of me, which is a continuation of millennials, is I need to look good. Looking good is a sign that I've arrived.
So toiletries and cosmetics, in other words, an inordinate amount of money is spent.
That's
there.
Gone up. But if you want to know a business to be in, for this generation, it's sneakers. They're spending more on sneakers than you and I would spend together.
Than we've ever spent in our lives, Ronen. Why is that, do you think?
Because the whole thing around sneakers these days is, if you watch young people, when someone walks in the room, the first thing is they noticing, they look down. It's a bottom-up approach. Brands are working with influencers to create bespoke, limited creations, and that's a huge expression of who I am. I'm a limited edition, I'm special.
It's back, as you point out in the survey a little earlier, to that huge desire for authenticity.
Yes, this generation have been brought up in a fake news environment, and my advice to brands is that's the one thing you need to grab, is that their feed is their reality. You've got to be in their feed to exist, and you've got to be real.
What else do brands need to do? How else should they be taking notice of this market? Because it's interesting, previously when we were speaking about millennials, we always used to talk about how fickle they are. This group, from what I'm hearing from you, is not fickle. They're very determined and very knowledgeable in exactly what they want. How then do brands interlock with that?
They're more mature and switched on, and yet they still want brands. So how it's different is even when it comes to style, they're not wearing overt brands. So they're saying, I want a sense of style. So the Zaras and H&Ms are really winning there. The whole aspect of looking good is still important. They're saying, we're not watching much TV. You've got to appear in our feed. And we love influencers, but we know when celebrity influencers are just doing it for the cash.
Ronen Aires, as always, thank you. This is a fascinating survey that you do from the agency Student Village. Appreciate it. Thank you very much indeed. Coming up on the program, a new advertising campaign paying homage to those who serve others.